Thank you.
Hello.
All right. Hi, Kitty.
Sorry, that was me testing my microphone and not being on mute.
All right. So we're going to start off with the agenda. Directors, this agenda was sent out ahead of the meeting. However, it was missing approval of March 8th, 2023 minutes. That has been added. Other than that, I don't believe that there's been any changes. If the directors, voting directors would take a look at this, let me know if there's anything that should be added or changed.
The agenda looks good to me, and I move that we approve it.
All right, Taylor moves.
I'll second.
And Tim Sippel seconds. Thank you. All right, so we have an agenda, and as the meeting gets going, I'm going to go ahead and, for the sake of the recording, to help out our secretary, list off the attendees. So we have Timothy Perkins, Brad Lee, Kenny Cernak, Pablo Serrato, Rachel Salo, Taylor Rickey, Tim Sippel, Will Hobson, and then observers, we have Travis West, Mary Collins, Marion Skinner. Oh, and I apologize. I skipped over Katie Brumbelow, who is not a voting director, but is a director of the board, the affiliate director. All right. Someone raise your hand if I missed you in the list. Otherwise, we will proceed with the meeting. Approval of minutes. I'm going to start scrolling down these slowly. Please call out anything that you notice. I'm going to go ahead and stick a comma here since I see it.
My name is spelled E-L.
I'm going to Control F that one real quick. I would like to remove this sentence since Matt Rao did come in later in the meeting and it's reflected later on that he came in. Is there any objection to that?
I have no objection. It's just that when I wrote it, I was going along like as if I was there
Right.
writing it.
In,
So
in the timeline, he was absent when this came up, but since he came in later on, I'd
yeah, I
like
have
to-
no objections if you want to
Yeah.
remove it.
I'd say either remove it or say initially absent. But removing is clean.
Would join here perhaps be a cleaner turn of phrase?
Sounds good to me.
I noticed the footer, it didn't change from August 10th, 2022. Can we change that for,
Excellent.
thank you.
Exactly the sort of thing that we're looking to catch. This looks like it formatted funny. There we go. I would like to add a clarifying sentence here to specify that this motion, there was a subcommittee meeting within the meeting. That's why Marion is voting here, and I'll add an R to Marion's name.
Timothy, are you catching the comments in the chat?
I had not. I was depending on audio. Thank you for calling that to my attention. I'll catch up.
A few people are being shy.
Reading the minutes and reading chat and listening for comments might overwhelm me, but we'll see what we can do. All right, so I'm going to go back and hit some of these items being brought up in the chat. All right. And then here, I'm going to addended to the end is the there we go. The agenda from the previous meeting. Or excuse me, not the previous meeting, but these minutes, which is the previous meeting to this meeting. All right, anything else before we approve these minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second
All
that.
right, I am going to apologize. I realize that I intended to include, but did not include the election policy that we adopted. And the reason for that is we have it referenced here that we adopted that policy, but it's not yet included in the minutes. So I would appreciate if the motion to approve the minutes had a caveat that there will be some secretarial work to add that policy in.
I move that we approve the minutes as amended, plus further edits by Timothy. I didn't catch exactly what.
To include the election policy.
The election policy.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Brad. And is there any objection? All right, thank you, everyone. Going back to the agenda for today's meeting, we've approved the minutes. Next is the consent agenda. The only item of business that occurred between meetings is that the aforementioned election policy governing the leadership election was lightly amended. We pushed the mailing date to April 11th because we realized, I believe on April 8th, that the 9th was going to be a Sunday, and therefore the mail house wasn't available to talk to either on the day that we realized, the 8th, or on the 9th. So I had to talk to them on Monday and then got everything submitted to them on Tuesday, which was yesterday, the 11th. Anyway, but this motion was made on the 8th when we realized that. And then the other part was that the word count had been set to 325 words, but that information had not been made clear on the website, and some of our candidates had exceeded it. And because that information hadn't been made clear and they would have had to dig into the policy in order to find that word count limit, the directors were willing to instead increase the limit to 450 words and thereby not make it so that the deadline that had already passed would be held against them. So pretty light changes. Directors, let me know if there's anything else that should have been included in the consent agenda, or if the item that does appear is incorrect. Otherwise, we will move along. All right, open forum observers may speak on any agenda item, and we have at least 3 observers here. So please let us know if there's something on this agenda that you would like to share some thoughts on with the directors. All right, well, we appreciate your being here, and there will be another opportunity at the end of our meeting for you to speak up again. All right, reports of officers, and I am the chair. The month has been pretty busy. I've definitely put in more hours than I have in a while, which was good. I got to meet a lot with Pablo for working on the director election, preparing that, collecting the various pieces of data that we needed to compile the electors list, as well as preparing the notification. This is our first electronic election, and so there was a learning curve for sure, but it looks like we are on solid footing at this point. The one, I would say, error of significance was that the email notifications that were sent out included credentials that were improperly formatted. So instead of appearing as a string of numbers, it appeared as a large number. For example, instead of being 30000, it would appear as 30,000. So had to send a follow-up email with a correction to that to all the same people. There were a couple of people who had opted into receiving their ballot exclusively by email, whose emails bounced. And so we had to include them in the physical mailing that is going to be going out tomorrow. The mail house told me today. Related to that, I am covering the cost for Election Buddy out of pocket. That was $99 even. And then there was also the mail house. So we are still definitely saving money over preparing multiple envelopes and multiple sheets of paper within each of those envelopes. But we did send out a single page self-mailer to the electors that did not opt to receive their notice electronically. And the cost for that mailing, I should have it right here. Just one moment. The cost for that mailing, which I have covered for now, is $497.66. And I'll make sure and provide that to the treasurer. I would like to be reimbursed for that, but I also can wait. I want to be in line behind Pablo, who we already owe money. So I do request to be reimbursed, but not at this time. As far as other items, I did meet with other committees. We did do other work. I was just describing what took up the bulk of my time. And also, very importantly, taxation is theft. So I am open to any questions.
I have one.
Yes.
I may not have been paying enough attention. I don't recall if I've opted in for electronic ballot or not.
If you want to hang out after the meeting, I'll go and check our spreadsheet and find out whether or not that's the case.
If I haven't, is it too late?
So no, let me go ahead and clarify what I meant by that. In previous ballotings, at least in 2020, we included a code that was individualized to each voter, and the voter could then go to our website, enter that code, and provide us with their information. And at that time, they could opt into reading electronic ballots and have their only notice be by email. And that would save us cost on mailing them in order to notify them. So the people who opted in to receive their notice electronically, those people already have their credentials to log in and vote in our electronic election. Everybody else who didn't explicitly opt into that, we are sending a physical piece of paper that has their credentials. And those are going to start being sent out tomorrow. The mail house let me know today.
Did anybody opt into a paper ballot?
Nobody did.
That's nice.
It's certainly preferable.
Weird question. Can I ask if we have incorporated star voting into our director elections?
So we have the option to use star voting. However, the infrastructure isn't there yet for holding a fully electronic star election securely. So they as I understand, they're very close, if not there. But at the time that we were preparing this election, they were not quite there. And so
Okay.
we are using single transferable vote.
Got it.
But really hoping that our friends over at Equal Vote are going to get their star voting app up and running with the necessary features for us to be able to conduct our elections with that.
Mr. Chair, question?
Yes.
Do you have any opinions on Jeffrey Epstein that you could share with the body?
Off the top of my head, not very much. I mean, everyone knows that he didn't kill himself, but
That's sufficient. Thank you.
okay. All right. Any further questions for the chair? All right. Passing the microphone over to our vice chair, Will Hobson.
Hey everyone. Firstly, I think it might be repeating what Timothy said earlier. But Matt Rowe texted me, and I'll have a small campaigns committee report for him from him. Otherwise, sorry, 1 second. Otherwise, yeah, I haven't been as active this last month as I wish I had been. I've had kind of a lot of different things going on. My personal life, just getting hit with a fire hose of different issues and stuff, like from Oregon to national issues, people asking me to help them with different coalition projects, and just trying to pare back to what I can actually do. I have been working with Brad and on getting a fundraising event going before the convention. I did find a business that is willing to host a like a cocktail or whiskey tasting fundraiser free of charge. They don't charge their for events anyways, but they will warmly welcome us. It's in Oregon City, and me and Brad are working on nailing that down. So hopefully we'll have some kind of a nice, effective fundraiser, high donation fundraiser here pretty soon. And yeah, can't really off the top of my head think of too many things to report right now. So if you have any questions, let me know.
All right. Any questions for the vice chair? Going once? Okay. Thank you, Will. Moving along, we have a treasurer. Go ahead, Kenny.
Hi, I'm behind as is standard. We currently have just shy of $1,700 in the bank. And the one thing I did want to mention is I believe our status for recurring donations is we are down to one monthly $10 contribution. So I just wanted to put that out there, so we're aware of it.
I would actually like to address that in my fundraising report later on tonight.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Last month, I recall that there was a question about the PO box. I think that was in the minutes that we were just looking at. Did that get resolved?
It did.
Yes.
All right.
Katie
Thank
paid
you.
it. They locked us out anyway, and Tim got that fixed.
Right.
All
And
right.
there was only one letter there, which was a check that I need to forward to Kenny. I'm a little concerned. It felt like there should have been more mail first, since I went so long without checking it.
We definitely have the dry spells.
Okay.
All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you, everyone who worked on that. Anything else for the treasurer before we move along? Hearing none, we'll move to the secretary. Taylor.
Oh, I have one thing for
Oh.
the treasurer. How do
Go
you
ahead,
feel
Katie.
about taxation?
I view it as a necessary evil.
Sorry for
Timothy
the
and I don't
controversy.
agree.
The Libertarian Party of Oregon is a big tent.
Exactly. We don't all have to agree. There's probably something wrong if we do.
Kenny and I get along great, everyone. All right. Thank you, Kenny, and we will now move along to the secretary's report. Go ahead, Taylor.
Sorry about that. Had trouble unmuting. All right. So my secretary report is I have completed the minutes from last month while also working towards satisfying the outstanding minutes. I sent the minutes out via email for February 11th, 2022, March 30th, 2022, December 14th, 2022, January 11th, 2023, and then last month's minutes, March 8th, 2023. I'd like you guys just to review them when you guys can, and then somebody make a motion if we can get those approved and posted on the LPO website. Next, I'm going to complete the rest of the outstanding minutes before my term as secretary ends. I do appreciate being entrusted with this role. However, it is abundantly clear that I am not very good at it. And if elected to the Libertarian Party of Oregon Board of Directors again, I will not seek to continue to be secretary, but I look forward to chairing and serving on committees while helping the new secretary as needed. That is my report as secretary.
All right. Just want to say I appreciate all the progress that has been made on catching up on that backlog. I know that it's definitely a slog to watch all the old record. Not just a slog, but just very time consuming. And so I appreciate the efforts you put in.
Thank you.
Anything else for the secretary before we move along? Hearing none, we'll move down to reports of committees and directors, starting out with fundraising. Taylor.
Okay, so my fundraising report. Pablo shared with me the fundraising data since March, and we had 12 donations totaling $360, which is a good start, but we still have a ways to go. Peter did a great job setting up the pool tournament, which was a big draw, and I hope to work with other county affiliates around the state to raise more money. Also, Nicholas Carlton Box Video raised a $100 donation, and I look forward to working with him and other people to create more content for fundraising. Next, after reviewing the data from March fundraising, I noticed that we only had a few reoccurring donors. Kenny said that's down to one. In donating combined $10 a month to the party. I find this to be a great avenue to secure funding in the future. So I was hoping we could create a newsletter, offer discounts to the LPO store when it's up and running, for recurring donors to have like in a tiered system, like 10, 25, 50, $100 monthly reoccurring charge, and then reward these donors accordingly with services that are free or inexpensive to us to secure their monthly donations.
All right, sounds great. Are there any questions for fundraising?
Kenny and Taylor, who should we work with to get a store set up? If we want to take this on as a project, and I'll take names and I'll follow up with everyone after this meeting offline.
I mean, I definitely would like to be involved in the creation. I don't know who else. Probably IT, because it would have to go up on the LPO website and just have like a shop tab. So me and you, anyone else that wants to get in on that. I know Will had come up
banking,
with
physical address. I think that's kind of the financial part is I think the hard part. I can handle the IT, and I think we have a vendor, but we have a payment processor, I guess, that we need to set up in order to take in payments that would be different from Click and Pledge.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I can look into it and work with, maybe Timothy knows the answer, how to do it.
Is banking information like EIN and banking, right? That's what they need?
Yes, and a physical address that is not a PO box in order to comply with financial rules for payment processors. So Katie in the past has volunteered her address. I don't know if that's different now.
It's the same address. It's still good.
I just need EIN and banking information, which I can get through. Yeah, so I just want to talk about that with someone. And so I'll follow up with an email for Kenny and Taylor, and Timothy probably needs to be informed, and we'll make this happen. We'll put it is very easy to get an e-commerce thing set up, a dropship system. It's not going to make a ton of money, but I think it's important to build the brand.
Yeah.
You can.
I should be able to get that, I think, for you. I just have to have time.
You can loop me in there too, I guess, since if my address is being used, might need to be involved.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor, for fundraising. We'll move along to campaigns. Will, you said you got a text. I didn't get any communication from Mr. Rao, so you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just read what he said. He has a sorry, let me try to convert this into the message that is kind of meant for you. Yes, he apologizes. He had an unavoidable family responsibility that will keep him from attending today. The committee has not met since March 1st due to him being preoccupied with family obligations. He had an injury in his family several weeks ago. I'll let him go into details and specifics of that if he wishes to on the next time. But yeah, he wanted to send this 3 points of information in his absence. The first one is the work on identifying key races and recruiting candidates for 2024, particularly in city, county, and legislative races, is underway. If anyone on the board or in party at large has a suggested race candidate that they would like the committee to target focus, please contact me with the relevant details. If there, point 2, if there are any LPO candidates running in the special district elections in May who would like some phone banking support, please have them contact me as soon as possible, and I will work with the committee to make calls to LPO members in that electoral district to inform them if fellow libertarian is in the race. It isn't much, but given the limited time and resources we have, it is what we can do, and in a low turnout election could make a difference. And then point 3, I will be calling a campaigns committee meeting later this month at a time date to be determined. Details will be posted on the LPO calendar. I encourage any interested members to attend. And yeah, that's his report.
All right. Thank you to Mr. Rao for submitting a report since he couldn't make it. And Will, would you be willing to forward perhaps an edited, like use your discretion as to what it should look like, but forward something over to Taylor that can be included in the minutes for the campaign
Sure.
report?
I'll do it right now.
Great. Thank you very much. Anything for campaigns before we move along? Hearing none.
I'd like
Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
I'd like to just add one thing. Over in Marion and Polk County, we have Colton Matson, who's running for city council in Turner for campaigns. So I just wanted to add that. I was hoping Matt Rowe would be here so I could mention it to him, but I'll go ahead and forward that information along to him. But Marion Polk has been working with him running for city council special election in Turner.
Excellent. Taylor, do you happen to know the election date for that race?
It is it's the week before the convention. So
Okay.
let me look at my calendar.
So the upcoming May election.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. We will move along then to public relations. Will Hobson.
I really don't have anything to report on public relations at this time.
All right. Thank you anyway. Does anyone else have something for public relations before we move along? I'll just mention that it's only tertiary relation, but I recorded a how-to video on voting in our electronic election, and that election was posted to our YouTube channel. All right. Next is the IT committee. Pablo.
Hello. I am going to pull up my notes. I've been busy, as Timothy alluded to, helping with election stuff. The LPO app is running locally. Our next step is to push the updated LPO app that is going to handle our election to the server of our website. And I'm going to have help doing that from One Gunner Power. We are going to start that on Friday afternoon, and that might be our weekend project. I helped support, the other thing I've done is I've helped support the LPO convention committee by making their agenda for the LPO 2023 convention online. It is at lpo.org.lpo, the URL that I dropped into the chat. I've also gotten an artifact that I think might be useful for us in fundraising. Bradley, in a separate project, is creating a donation envelope that we will have ready by convention. I believe the art has been sent or will be sent to the chair for review. But as part of that, there's going to be a QR code that goes to our click and pledge. That is something I'll share with the board later in case you can find it handy in some way. You can put it in an email or something. Also, in supporting our great, wonderful, and thoughtful public policy board, I've been putting some content of theirs on the website. First of all, is a list of the public policy board members, which has been floating around, but I have just didn't publish the page. It is now available on the LPO website, and it's available on the About Us menu navigation. And then I also put the public policy board's very well documented minutes so that all can see them. Any questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Pablo. I'll just mention that it's pretty hard keeping up with Pablo. Yeah, I don't know if there's been more than about 2 days that have gone by without an email or 3 coming to my inbox with Pablo eagerly doing the work of the party. So thank you. All right, next is Bylaws Committee. That's myself. The committee met, I want to say 3 times since our last meeting. We did move our April 10th meeting because I didn't pay close attention when we were making a regular schedule and didn't realize that that was going to fall on my birthday, and my wife had other plans. But we've made some really good progress. I want to thank Pablo and Marion for their efforts. And now I'm going to hand it over to Marion to first describe some clerical corrections that this board is empowered to make with regards to some deficiencies with how our bylaws were updated after the last round of amendments. And then the next item will be going through the overview of the bylaws amendment proposals that the bylaws committee recommends taking to convention. So Marion, please.
Thanks, Timothy. So the 2 clerical
You know what,
updates
Marion,
would be
I told you
both
that I would have this document up and I don't. Could you remind me what the title of the document is so that I can bring that up for you?
bylaws amendments.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, they're both in Article 6. In section 1B, it just has an extra word. It says with those instead of with those. In section 2A.3, it refers to Article 8 on the exercise of its power to choose a nominee for election to public office, but that is in fact section 9, probably due to the addition of the Public Policy Board, and it just got numbered improperly. So that's that.
All right. So
yeah, so I believe the board is empowered to make those changes without any further,
right.
just make a motion.
So we will need a motion, which Marion can't do, but the convention and the primary election referendum for the bylaws amendments both included a motion that empowered fixing clerical errors like these. And so we do need to make a motion to update the bylaws to correct these errors. But we don't, it's not the same as doing a full-on bylaws amendment. So I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who was wondering about the rules with regards to fixing these. And is anyone willing to make a motion to amend the, I should say, update our constitution and bylaws with the editorial corrections shown on the screen in the highlighted section?
I move that we adopt these changes to the bylaws in regards to the clerical errors in Article 6, Section 2A.13 and Article 6, Section 1B, as written in the highlighted section in the video.
Thank you, Taylor. Is there a second?
I would second that.
All right, and then I am going to call for a roll call vote on this, just so that we're extra double clear. And so Taylor, when you are ready, go ahead and make that roll call.
Okay. Rachel Salo.
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
Having
you're
some
fine.
issues here.
Tim Sipple,
I,
Bradley,
Aye.
Pablo Serrato,
Aye.
Taylor Ricky votes aye. Kenny Cernak,
Yay.
Will Hobson,
Aye.
Timothy Perkins,
Aye.
William Johnson Jr. is not present, so the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Taylor. All right, so we'll just make a couple of light edits and then we'll post those to our website and also update that filing with the Secretary of State. I'm going to hand it back over to Marion for the bylaws amendments that the bylaws committee recommends for the convention.
Okay, so we have several, but they're not scary like last time. These are all pretty straightforward and quick. The first one is to include nonpartisan races. I'm pretty passionate about this one. In our purpose statement, with an added restriction of supporting only members of LP Oregon in those races. Do you want me to stop for discussion on each one?
Yeah, that would be good. I'll just also point out that the bylaws committee is not prepared with final language that we're proposing, but we do want the board's approval to go ahead and create that final language ahead of convention. We're also seeking feedback on these proposals from our membership, and I believe have sent out a survey to that effect. Pablo, you'll have to correct me if that hasn't gone out.
The survey will go out tomorrow.
Okay, so these proposals, as they are drafted, are going to go out very shortly. But we're just looking for, and we'll do it on each one. We don't need a formal motion. We basically want to hear any objections to including these proposals in some form for the convention. So the first one, include nonpartisan races. Are there any thoughts that anybody wants to share on that? Any objections? I think that there's a lot of people who have thoughts on it, but as far as particularly an objection is what we're looking for.
Do any of the other parties go out of their way to officially target nonpartisan races?
Yes, in my lived experience, when I ran for city council, I was seeking, I was a registered Libertarian Party member, but I figured, hey, it's a nonpartisan race. I'll go talk to the county parties of the Democrats and Republicans, see what they think about me. And they told me that they couldn't endorse me because I wasn't a member of their party, because their bylaws restrict them to.
The Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania has a strategy to target nonpartisan races and things like constable and dog catcher, and have had tremendous success at pumping up their number of electeds by taking this strategy. Does that more align with your question, Kenny?
I'm just unsure how much we should target nonpartisan races.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily against it. I just don't know that I'm for it either.
I think
I may be
Marianne
able to
wants
speak
address
to that.
Yeah.
So what this is doing is allowing the LPO to support nonpartisan races. It's not necessarily focusing their efforts on that. So right now, it's specifically called out that we are to focus on partisan races, which is exceedingly difficult with 22,000 registered members, because that limits us to supporting, monetarily, really, or with, concerted effort, things like governor and stuff that's, it's not realistic for us at this time. But what's super realistic for us is to support nonpartisan. So we're just removing the ability, we're removing the roadblock.
So if I can add something real fast. So like the city council position that Colton Maston is running on for in Turner is a nonpartisan race. So I don't think the Libertarian Party of Oregon can really do much for him as a candidate, even though he's a libertarian. He's running as a libertarian. So it falls on the county affiliate. So this just kind of helps give those people running for smaller races, nonpartisan races, that the LPO, I think, validates their candidacy, is the way I look at that one.
All right. I want to next recognize, I believe Mary had her hand up.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of removing roadblocks, taking our own gloves off of our own mitts. That's a good idea.
Okay, and then Katie.
So I was just going to say, I think this is probably included pragmatically originally because of a lack of volunteers. So, I mean, if we did focus on all of the races, then you need more people to do that. But I think the timing is really good on this, because as we build activism at the county level, then we can help support local candidates more and more. So it does make sense to remove the language that would make that difficult.
All right, any further comments?
Just that in terms of taking, right now we are excluded from supporting these local races. And as we seek to build the brand and build the Libertarian Party organization basically from the ground up, the place that we can be the most impressive, the place where we have the most realistic chance, the place where we have people who are currently elected to positions and are libertarian, are things like city council. School boards look like they're becoming more interesting to us. Our issues of like school choice, our issues of like local control, I think are really coming to the fore over the last 3 years. And the big data point for me is in 2022, our statewide candidate in both absolute and relative numbers performed the least well as compared to any gubernatorial candidate we've had in LPO history. And that is, to me, means that we need to rethink where we're putting in resources, and we need to really focus on winnable races to build a bench of leaders who will have a reputation in Oregon and who can help us basically from the ground up build.
No, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I ran against an incumbent on our water board and I pulled over 40%, pretty much just putting a statement and not even my photo in the voters pamphlet. So I know that nonpartisan races are where we can actually win, but they're nonpartisan for a reason. And so I wonder how much we should be helping. And that's where I'm hesitant. That's where I'm coming from.
So, Kenny, I do just want to mention that as far as how that helping will look, obviously we don't know all the details, but this Article 6, Section 2D portion of this proposal, that's under the Public Policy Board, and it basically it's specifying that it's one of the things that the Public Policy Board can request the LPO Board of Directors to fund. So right now there's funding statements in the voters pamphlet, and there's transferring funds to a candidate's campaign and expanding it to nonpartisan races as well. So basically, in order for us to monetarily support them, the Public Policy Board is supposed to explicitly be like, okay, this is a solid libertarian running in this race, recommend to the board of directors, please help them out. And so I think that that's at least something of a safeguard if your concern is monetary.
Well, it's not necessarily monetary. It's
Yeah.
just general, but
And I have another question of data, hypothetically. Like at this moment, there was there's a candidate in that Taylor Rickey mentioned, city councilor. We could not, for example, cut a list of libertarians who live in his town and give him those names and addresses as a political party under our current rules, because that's just not covered. We couldn't support a candidate with data.
So I would hesitate to say that we could not. I would say that saying that we could not is a reasonable interpretation of our bylaws. I would also say that there's a somewhat dubious interpretation that would say that we could, where you say that this partisan libertarian thing just means each candidate's voter registration. The issue with that interpretation would be that this purpose statement is talking about placing and then says the word partisan, and the only place that the LPO can place a candidate is in a partisan election. And so that's why I tend to think that it is the other way.
okay. And to that note, I think we have in the past provided registered voter lists to people running in nonpartisan races if we've already requested the list, but I'm not 100% on that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that has happened here and there. Anything else on this one before? Also, I guess I should just ask real quick. Are there any objections? Does anyone not want this to be considered at the convention? Okay, so anything further on this before we move along?
It's also in favor, but I just wanted to say we've had libertarians win and be elected, and they've been hard to track down in nonpartisan races. So I think that increasing our focus to include that would also help that keep that from happening in the future.
All right. This one is not objected to. And so the bylaws committee will go ahead and continue developing it and creating final language. All right.
Okay,
Go
well, the
ahead,
next one, is we specified in our bylaws is a specific subtype of single transferable vote called the right system, which we can't find any software to tabulate that for us. I'm not even sure if we can really get anybody to explain to us what that is. So we're just gonna axe that and just kind of have it say everything else but that. So
Pablo, under the, I believe, IT report, was talking about how the LPO app that Gunnar is going to be helping with, the LPO developed some proprietary software specifically to run right system STV elections because nothing exists out there. And it's causing a little bit of a headache for this election because while we are using Election Buddy to collect the votes, technically we can't use Election Buddy to count the votes. We have to take the votes, download them, and then change that data to work with the software, that the proprietary software that we already have, and have it count the votes. And the benefit of one particular form of single transferable vote versus another is dubious to begin with, but it is causing us a logistical problem to be keeping it.
Okay.
So that's the rationale. I just wanted to bring it home to the current business. But are there any other thoughts or comments on removing the right system specification in our bylaws?
Actually, I think it's great. I was wondering if we could change another thing while we're here. I'm just going to throw it out there. And I know we had talked about this before, but so right now it says electronic for a single position shall be tabulated by instant runoff voting or score then automatic runoff method. And from my understanding, like we don't have star voting in place because it's not ready yet, basically, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
So, but we have so many people, and this has been such a great thing. Would it be possible to change the order of those things so that that appears first and instant runoff voting appears later?
Well, I will say that we could. Are there do any of the other directors have thoughts on what Katie just said?
I guess I don't view there being any weight in the order. It's not this, then this, if not, it's just an or statement. So, I don't know. I don't think it matters really.
Okay, anyone else?
Since there are no star voting people here, I will speak on their behalf that within the voting systems between these two camps, the order kind of does matter. So, a while back we did have debate between which is preferable, instant runoff or star voting, and pros and cons. And I think we have more feeders in this party into the star voting method and its benefits than those who are in favor of the instant runoff. And they'd be happy to supply you with data.
Right. So I will say that I was around when Adam Zielinski first started coming to board meetings and telling us about this new fangled voting system and explaining it to us, and then various other people involved that have come along and explained it to us as well. And obviously now we do have it in our bylaws. So and I also would like for us to be a star first. I do think that it tends to yield a more accurate result. But as far as like whether it's listed first or not, I don't particularly care. So anyone else?
I think I would agree. I would prefer to use star. I just don't think the order we have it in the bylaws really matters.
It's possible for us
to go ahead.
It's possible for us to offer two separate versions of this amendment. One would be a simple removing the right system specification like you see here, and the reweighted range voting method as well, as you can see. But then a second version could also specify a preference for star voting unless instant runoff can be reasonably, voted on as the better option for whatever reason. So we could do something like that.
To feed into that, the existing language says that elections for a single position or for multiple positions shall be tabulated by, and then it gives a method, unless the board of directors votes to instead use this other method. And it is in the bylaws committee thought that would be better to change that language, but we could switch that around. We could say that elections for a single position shall be tabulated by score then automatic runoff voting, unless the board of directors votes to instead. Anyway, we could do that kind of preference. And Marion, I believe you were just saying that we could have those two as like alternative proposals. One being simply
yeah, and I don't
believe. Go ahead.
I don't know if I think our resident star voting expert Annie that I've been leaning on for this, I think she may have not preferred even star voting for single position elections, and that she says it's best for multi-winner elections, but I would have to double check that. But I seem to remember something about that.
I feel like I've seen her complaining about instant runoff voting in the Discord. But either way, are there any other comments on this? And specifically, are there any objections?
I guess one final comment would be, I think we'd be better off picking one and referring it than to giving two similar but distinct referrals. I would foresee there being a lot of unnecessary debate between the two.
All right, that is a pretty good point, Kenny. So the bylaws committee will take a note of that basically, and we'll try to have the proposal that seems most favored by the based on feedback. We'll try to have that be the.
And I guess, Katie, were you suggesting we build in a preference for star voting, or just that we list it first here?
I think listing first is building in a preference. So in other words, I think it's not, the reason we're not using it now is because it's not available yet. And that makes sense. And so you can't really write, you can't write these rules for something that's not quite available yet, but you can still list that preference.
I should clarify, you can go and run a star voting election. They're on their website. It's just that it doesn't meet the security standards and whatnot as of yet for us to be using it, and hopefully it will soon.
So if she just wants to move the star voting in front of the or, we can build in that. Like, I have no problem with that.
All right. Any last words on this? Okay. Thank you. Moving along, Marion.
Yeah, the next one is awesome. It's adding none of the below as an option to multi-position elections. And if you're not,
that is not appearing on my screen.
Oh, you know what order I'm going in is the I was just using the survey as.
Oh, sure. Let me see if I can find the.
No, we can go in your order too. That's fine.
Actually, I'm not sure if the none of the below is on this document.
Got it.
Okay, so go ahead and cover none of the below because it's not on the document anyway. So then we'll go back to resuming and then this one.
Yeah, none of the below is cool. It's an option that you add to a ranked choice election, where basically voters are given the ability to vote against any candidates that receive fewer votes than none of the below does, which would nullify everyone, down ticket from there, which could prevent those people being allowed to hold a position. And it's kind of a opposition vote option.
Just allowing essentially us to vote on saying, no, we would rather not have a candidate than pick, or not fulfill somebody than to someone on this list.
That's right. This person especially does not represent me. And that's pretty much that. We do not have language for that yet because we're not going to do that type of bylaws work unless it gets approved, because it would take some careful reworking of language.
Well,
I love it.
I like it too.
So do I.
Even if it means there's a lot of work.
Yeah, so do I. I like it too. And it's good, fun work for me. Should I move on?
I just wanted to do one last call for comment on the none of the below proposal. Particularly any objections, but also any other comments in support or just questions, etc. All right, go ahead.
Cool. Next one might be my favorite. renaming the Public Policy Board to the Public Policy Council, because we already have a board of directors and it becomes board heavy in language and can get confusing. And we picked council because that makes the other people counselors, because it's not a committee. The bylaws committee is a committee. We're like a subsection that the board refers things to committee, and the Public Policy Council will also have the power to refer things to committees if they want to. So having them be a committee doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, we picked council.
Any comments on this proposal? Yeah, obviously not a very important one, but we have definitely had it come up that in the culture of this party, when you say the board, now you're kind of catching yourself in that you have to say, I mean, the board of directors. And
if you want to show them the bylaws, if you want to show them it's, you know, the number of times it comes up in the bylaws is extensive. So.
And then if there ever came a time when they were elected by separate methodologies, it would get even worse. So being able to call one a board of directors and one a council of counselors would be, having that delineation could be very useful at that point. All right, and last chance for comments on that one, and then we'll move on. Okay, go ahead, Marion.
Next one is super timely. It would move the election of the board of directors and the Public Policy Council to the convention business. The implications of that are being able to meet the candidates if you don't know who they are. Maybe a little less clerical work because you don't have to worry about like statements quite as carefully that way. But my favorite implication of this is that it allows people to speak in opposition to a candidate in front of the voting members. And also limits mailing and stuff like that. But.
Any comments, questions, concerns? All right, I will at least give at least one more moment. If there's any objections to this, we definitely do want to hear them, but otherwise we'll shop it out to the membership for feedback.
It's not an objection. It's just I'm curious of what this is going to look like. We're doing a hybrid convention or something. Is that right? Okay. So I'm just curious about that. That'll be an interesting thing to incorporate with a hybrid convention. I think it could work, but
hybrid conventions are interesting in general, for sure.
Yeah, it'll require election buddy to work for us.
I guess my concern would be significantly reduced voting turnout.
Well, I will say that I would hope we would have increased attendance at convention, but that is a reasonable concern, Kenny, and I do share it. All right, hearing nothing further, we'll move along. Marion?
This one was my idea. Requiring the board to appoint at least one deputy treasurer in order to ensure continuity and allow Kenny to have a reasonable personal life. And just basically to have the next guy always ready to go. The next guy's always on deck. And this is the one this is the one position that can't go unfilled.
Yeah, I think we had, well, we've had in the past alternate report to a couple of other people that could report stuff, but most of them have departed. So some of our built-in capacity for backup has disappeared. So I think that's probably wise.
All right, good to see Kenny's not taking this personally. And Mary, go ahead.
I like the idea of having a deep bench on key functions, key people who do functions for us. Did the bylaws committee consider doing a treasurer-elect sort of situation?
I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to there.
Cool. Some organizations I've seen where somebody like a director has a 2-year term, you know, the directors would elect 2 people, one to serve as the treasurer for the first year, the second person to serve as the treasurer-elect during the first year, but as treasurer for the second year. So like a deliberately appointed season of apprenticeship.
No, the bylaws committee
Okay.
did not consider that.
So,
So- Go ahead, Kenny.
So would we be essentially creating an additional officer position? Because as I understand it, the treasurer does not have to be a board member.
Right. Well, no, they are
A
a
voting
board member,
board,
but don't have to be a voting member
and they don't have to
of the
be,
board.
and because of that, they don't have to be part of the elected process.
Right.
Yeah, we considered that in the language.
Because it would seem infinitely easier if we just make a third non-voting officer position that can just be plugged into.
So it would be interesting, the interplay with the Secretary of State's office as to who are our officers. Well, this guy is going to be the officer this year, but this guy is also going to be a half officer, and then they're going to switch.
But just
Maybe it'd
having
be fine. I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
like if we had a treasurer and a deputy treasurer, both as officers.
My thought would be that, practically speaking, as far as interfacing with the Secretary of State, it would be the treasurer, and then the alternate transaction filer.
That and that could be. We could call it. I mean, we can call it that, right? Like that.
Right. Yeah, we've I looked through the bylaw. I checked through the bylaws to make sure that we weren't granting voting rights to an unelected member in any circumstances. So it wouldn't, so while the person would be an officer because just by nature of them holding the title of treasurer, an officer in these bylaws doesn't have voting rights unless they are an elected director to the board.
Right. I think we're just talking about talking to the Secretary of State and how we
Got it.
file our organizational stuff. We might want
Got
to
it.
call it, instead of a deputy treasurer, an alternate filer, and then we
Okay.
specify that they have access to.
Great.
So the bylaws committee will take some of that feedback and take a look at it. Thank you.
Perfect.
Does anyone else have a comment on the deputy treasurer proposal? All right. Thank you. We'll move. Whoop, let me check which one we're going to next.
Yeah, so the next one is making the conventions annual rather than biennial. These We made, I think this was suggested by membership, maybe? I can't remember. I think the hope behind this one is that if it becomes a more regular occurrence that we do a convention, we might be able to beef up attendance at it. It might just become kind of like, oh, this is what we do Memorial Day weekend every year. Something like that.
There's also kind of a reason this one is last, because it's the one the bylaws committee is least firm on, probably, of all of these. Any feedback from the board?
Would we then do like a nominating convention instead of a primary?
It would certainly make that possibility much easier.
I guess cost would be a concern.
I will mention that consideration did come up, and basically a convention, generally speaking, is going to be cheaper than an election.
Well, when we did paper ballots.
Right. Well, even with the electronic, there is a cost to it. And with the 335 people that we had to mail it out to, the expense was only $100 for the electronic portion. But when we scale that up to 20,000 people, then it ends up costing several $100s. And then since most of those people, we aren't going to have their emails, we do have to mail them a piece of paper. And so that will be hundreds or possibly thousands of dollars more on top of that. Still much cheaper than sending each person 2 envelopes and multiple sheets of paper. But it gets close to the cost of a convention pretty fast anyway.
I would also note, again, concern with reduced numbers of people. If we do an electronic ballot where we mail something out to 22,000 people, they could theoretically all vote. I don't think it's possible we even could get 20,000 people to show up at a convention because of the nature,
hope not.
It being a
so.
specific weekend, right? Like a specific date.
Yeah. I will point out that of the 20,000 members that we send ballots out to, I think only once in my time on the board have over 1,000 of them voted in our primary.
True. Hopefully the electronic will improve that.
We'll see. It's exciting stuff.
One thing that Kenny, when he was speaking, made me think of, is this bylaw written in such a way where it requires that or specifies if the convention is remote or not? Because one of the things that we should adopt as a small party and as Oregon being a big state is a fully remote convention, so we can conduct business from our own homes. It is convenient. It is something that we see other organizations doing, marketing organizations doing. I myself, think that the party should consider doing an entirely online convention if we go this route, and perhaps we should specify something that enable our party to do that in the future. So we can talk more as a party, and we can do more as a party, and we can do so without leaving our homes.
That was not specifically considered as part of this proposal, but it is on our radar, as you know, because you're a member of the bylaws committee.
I like that a lot. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense to keep the biannual convention, and then maybe in the years between do a fully remote. That would be my vote. I just think it's hard to get libertarians together in any way. We're busy people.
I do also think though that there's value in being able to meet in person. I guess I like a hybrid, because I do think for the people that go, there's you can go grab a bite to eat. You can socialize in ways that you can't really remotely. And I think that those relationships can have, well, that's how I ended up being a treasurer. I ended up sitting next to Jennifer and chatting with her and foolishly volunteering. So, I worry that we would lose some potential relationship development and possible future resources were it to be entirely remote.
Okay, so it sounds like we're starting to talk about two things here. So
Yeah.
I'll just talk about the annual conventions part for a moment. Are there any objections to putting that out before the membership to find out what their feedback is? Okay, and then this proposal wasn't actually brought to this meeting by the bylaws committee, but the possibility of a fully remote convention. If anybody wants to real quick object to that or say, yeah, I think that's a great idea, then the bylaws committee can take that feedback and draft something that can, again, be put before the membership.
My reading of the bylaws doesn't prohibit fully remote conventions as it is. And in fact, you could even call a special convention for the purpose of amending the bylaws, and that could be a fully remote convention, and it could happen whenever y'all need to do that.
The reason that, in my understanding of the bylaws, that a fully remote option isn't there is because the notice for the convention requires a place, and that doesn't reasonably mean, according to the intent of the people who are writing it, an online place. Now, we could make arguments that nowadays we could look at it that way, but similar to the Constitution, I am somewhat of an originalist.
And
so when they wrote place, they meant a physical place.
And one irritated person in 22,000 could file a lawsuit and cause us headaches.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So
but we can,
if we want the option, I think that we should make it explicit for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on this before we're finished with the bylaws report? I'll just say that we'll make sure that this body receives the questionnaire that the bylaws committee sends out. And if you have any proposals or feedback on these ones, make sure and put them in there. I also want to thank Marion for helping out with that presentation.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for bylaws. We'll move along now to the affiliate committee report. Katie.
So I did one thing this month, and that was go down to Lane County for their, well, no, two things. So I was at the Multnomah County affiliate meeting. Well done, Multnomah County. Sonia spoke at that, and it was great, about agorism. I forget exactly what the turnout was, but Pablo knows, I'm sure. And I think you guys are still in the process of establishing your quorum and forming an affiliate there. And then on Monday, I went down to Lane County, and because their original members are no longer libertarians, they're in the process of kind of either handing over the reins of power to reform, either dissolving and reforming or just reforming, and they're kind of figuring that out right now. So that it was a little bit discouraging to me because that was our first success, and now it's kind of having a hard time. They're having a hard time keeping the momentum going, and Eugene is 170 something thousand people. So I think there should be a presence down there, but they're working on it, I guess. So, and feedback from that meeting was just, I think there are some, as we know, differences of opinion in the party, in kind of the old guard and the Mises Caucus folks. So that's all I have to say about
Could
that.
you be more specific about the differences of opinion and give us sort of what the number of people that have left the party? Well, first off, what's the number? Is Lane County an affiliate? Is it a party?
Lane County is an affiliate, not a county party.
Right. So Lane County is the first group that once we had the affiliate policy in place, they were the first group that was able to affiliate, and they chose to affiliate as an affiliate and not as a county party, even at that point. And then I think maybe due to the national convention and circumstances around that, I think folks who are leaning, who are kind of on their way out, are fully on their way out now. And those are the ones who had originally started. So that's Jack and Carolyn. And they've had, like at the most, they've had probably 8 of them. So they had kind of a minimum, but enough to start an affiliate. And now at the last meeting that I went to, there were 2 at that meeting who are registered libertarians still, who are willing to kind of take on, you know, the position if they need to, treasurer or whatever with the Secretary of State. But they're having a hard time keeping up that momentum, as you can tell. And they're having a hard time with the momentum because they don't have a lot of interplay with. So I'll just say, like, those who are in Lane County don't use Discord for the most part, like in the affiliate. It's an older group, and there are some differences of opinion with some of the public policy board, what we've done, and then differences of opinion with just kind of how the way things were handled at the national convention.
I have just a question. I did not know until this moment that Lane County was an affiliate. It is not listed as an affiliated organization on our affiliates webpage, which I have been keeping up to date. Are the only affiliates I have record of. The only affiliates that exist on the internet are the Libertarian Party of Sherman County, which is our only county level party, and Multnomah Libertarians PAC. So there's some disconnect here. So I thought they were like an informal group. I didn't know that there was some sort of formal recognition and relationship between the party of the LP of Oregon.
Yeah,
and Lane County.
they were the first affiliate of the Libertarian Party of Oregon after we adopted the affiliate policy.
I think prior to the national convention, is that right, Timothy?
Yeah, well prior.
That's before my time then, but it was a well-kept secret, and they were very quiet about it.
I will say that that probably should have been on the website, and at the time it probably was my failing to not get it on there.
But there should then be a now. I'll update that. Well, does Lane County Libertarians exist? Do they have a website now?
As of the moment, there's still a political action committee in existence, to my knowledge, and so we shouldn't take any action to change our. I'll step back from that. We don't need to change anything about our relationship with them until everything settles down there. We do, of course, have the option if that were what the board wanted to do.
So I want to say that, I want to say that it was November 2021. So when they would have been recognized, right around then. So if you look back at the minutes of meetings, of board meetings, we might find some reference to it. I'm not sure, but it was after we had done the state, like the state fair booth and all that stuff. Lane County and Lincoln County were both working really hard to become county parties or affiliates. They're kind of making that decision, and Lane County is the one that followed through and then made that choice to affiliate, but not to be a county party. So.
Cool. I will, follow up with you, Katie, then, and whoever is the points of contact for Lane County Libertarians to make sure that they have support. They have voter data if they need it. They need a website. We can help them publicize this. We can cut lists from our mailing so they can contact other members and revive whatever is going on here. I don't think what I'm hearing is that there is a non-existent organization. There's just an organization that needs support from the Libertarian Party of Oregon.
Yes, you are correct. And I can get you the emails of the folks that were there that are still in the party. Pablo.
That would be great, Katie. I would also like to have their emails if you're willing. All right. Anything else for the affiliate report?
I'm open to questions. Good job, Sherman County, as usual. Way to go.
Yeah, I think it's notable that Sherman County's chair was quoted, I believe, in the minutes at a school board meeting in his county. And I don't have the quote in front of me, but it is quite memorable, and I am very, very proud of our Sherman County affiliate.
For the sake of record keeping in the minutes, Taylor Peter Vandenberg has joined the meeting as an observer. Welcome. All right, it sounds like we're done with the affiliate report. Going once. All right, so we will move on to the member development report. Brad.
I do not have much to report, but I would like to speak on to Peter's fundraiser in Clackamas County as well. It seems like events like that, they do well in the fundraising, they do well on the membership and the PR side of things. We saw some new faces attend, and hope to see them at the next meeting as well.
I would definitely consider that event to have been related to member development as well as, of course, fundraising. And I was very disappointed that I couldn't make it due to illness. So definitely will look forward to the next one.
If I could just add on that, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
We did hear that there was appetite to have that to be a recurring thing, maybe once a quarter, perhaps better publicized. We were kind of late to the game, and I tried to use like a text app and email and like some other channels, but I think if we plan ahead better, we could probably have better attendance. So we could have it be a recurring event at the same place.
All right. Sounds good. Anything else for member development before we move on?
I have nothing else.
All right. Thank you, everyone. There are no special orders. Unfinished and new business. The next item is the 2023 LPO Convention Committee that has some developments. Go ahead, Will.
It seems like we're coordinating a lot of different things. I haven't had as much of a leadership role on this committee as I have in recently. Again, I kind of had to step away for a little bit for personal life things, but a lot of different things are getting figured out, and we're continuing to work on it. And we should probably hold another meeting soon. So.
All right. Other members of the committee can speak up, but off the top of my head, we do have an agenda settled on for the event. We're working on coordinating a date on which we can have some key members of the team that is going to be running the convention go up there and work on evaluating the venue, how it's going to be set up, and especially with regards to the audiovisual equipment. And I feel like that there was something else, but if someone else from that committee is available to bring that up, I am blanking.
We're working on the handout.
Yes, the delegate packet. Yes.
Mhm.
We're hoping to get that out, a version of that out, I should say, this week, now that we have the tentative bylaws amendment proposals unobjected to by this body.
I think we also have another table sold or for the convention. Presidential candidate, I believe. I have it written somewhere.
Mike Termott.
Mike Tremont. Yep, there we go. Has a table at our convention now.
All right. Anything else for the convention committee?
We mentioned the tentative agenda, and then we're also looking for volunteers who have knowledge of like sound systems. We're putting together a meeting on the weekend, on a weekend in April. I forget what the exact date is, but we're going to actually have a people in the LPO are going to visit the dance studio and look at the sound system setup and basically AV stuff, so that we can ensure we have what we need to have a seamless, high quality audio for our convention, for those who are going to be attending remotely.
All right, thank you. Moving along then, the 2023 LPO director elections, Timothy / Pablo. I feel like we've actually already covered quite a bit of what we've been up to, but basically we put together the list of electors for this election. That took some digging around. We then correlated these voters with email addresses where we had them, and prepared an election on Election Buddy, and then correlated that to these people, and then separated them between people who are going to be notified by email and people who are going to be notified by mail, and then sent out those notifications. And again, the email notification has already gone out. I am expecting to have a renewed reminder of that closer to the date of the election, excuse me. And then the mailing, as far as physically being in the custody of the United States Postal Service, is supposed to happen tomorrow per the mail house. So at least should get out this week. Pablo, anything to add to that?
No, that's it.
And I do want to say that Pablo, I think we had 3 Zoom meetings that probably totaled about 15 hours working on all of this. So I really appreciate his efforts and also his technical expertise.
And these were meetings that could not have been an email, which is, I think, important to note.
Very true. All right. Anything else for director elections?
One thing I need to go back and amend my IT report. I did take possession of a LPO March voter file, and we were using that for the latest and greatest addresses for membership, and that's part of the 15-hour workflow that Timothy and I engaged in for getting the election set out. There's other analysis I can do on the file. I think I need to update what counties need what number in order to achieve quorum. But I have not yet done that analysis. And when that does happen, I will update the affiliate committee, and I'll also update the documentation that we have that shows each county and the target population required to achieve quorum in Oregon. So we can make sure that that data is available for our members and our affiliates and our organizers.
There's one more thing that I should have mentioned, and that is just that we have candidates. And if you go to lporegon.org, you can find information about the election as well as about all of the candidates. And then I do want to specifically mention that we do have 9 candidates for the board of directors, which that is how many positions there are. Write-ins are always allowed. And then there are, I believe, 9 candidates for the public policy board. And that is an 11-member board. So we'll definitely be looking at the write-ins for that race to fill the remaining 2 vacancies. Just wanted to make sure that that information was included in the report. Anything else for the director elections? And I'm actually going to correct myself on the agenda here and change that to leadership elections, because that is the terminology used in our policy and more accurately reflects the state of things. Okay, open forum. Observers may speak on anything that you want to, which Marion was waiting for and has already raised her hand. So go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to speak in this section because it's going to be my own personal opinion on the bylaws amendments, and not the opinion of the bylaws committee, or in my capacity as part of that. I wanted to advise the board members on your ability to refer bylaws amendments directly to the membership, just in case you're not aware. It's not customary. Referring to the convention is a nice pre-approval process that I'd very much in favor of normally. But it's not mandated by our bylaws. So I just wanted you guys to kind of like know about your ability. It's customary to approve it at the board, and then you get to debate and vote on it at the convention. The debate is the important part, you know, allowing that. And then the mandated part is to have that ratified by the membership, a full vote possibility. But I find it both ethical and rule abiding if you were to post notice of an opportunity to join a debate or discussion by joining a board meeting where you discuss this, and then having those bylaws amendments be referred straight to the membership. And one of the reasons I'm also bringing this up is not because I'm trying to like get you guys to do any weird thing, or I know this is probably will be seen as some sort of Mises Caucus play. This has nothing to do with that. Basically, I just worry about being able to make quorum at convention. I worry about volunteer burnout, and also infighting and, you know, other things sometimes get in the way of people being able to accomplish their goals. And so if this is what has to happen, you can still get your bylaws amendments changed by deciding what needs to be referred to a vote of the membership.
I will mention just on that point that it is a brand new power of the board of directors to be able to refer bylaws amendments directly to the membership. As far as that change was made at our last convention and then ratified by the membership. And so, yeah, they wanted us to have that ability, and that is a very, very good tool to have, and especially in the event that a convention doesn't make quorum. So.
And the type of bylaws amendment, the type of bylaws amendment that you could choose is like, you know, making a change to the quorum requirements.
All right, Travis West, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Travis West. Just wanted to give a quick update from the Public Policy Board and the Sherman County Libertarian Party. The PPB one is just a really quick note that we've been putting a lot of extra hours, more than we usually do, in some work sessions and trying to get a draft platform ready for convention. And we are confident it will be ready, and it will be specific to our state. And I think people will be happy with it. Our goal is for the next Public Policy Board that becomes elected can do what they want with it, including officially adopt it or amend it if they see fit. But we're pretty proud of it so far, and we still have some more work sessions. Then looking at the Sherman County Libertarian Party, so I'm the chair for that. And we've been really busy lately. Our vice chair is running for school board position. His website's jamesforsherman.com. He isn't officially endorsed by our county party and obviously not endorsed by the LPO, but he's running. And one of our goals as a county party is to host, organize, sponsor classes, workshops, courses, that kind of stuff in our community. And we're looking for things that promote libertarian principles, right? And so one thing we've been working on lately is a firearm course for women. And the requirements are that you have to be over 18, a Sherman County resident, and a female. And the one disqualifying factor in it is if you voted in favor of Measure 114, then you're disqualified from registering. But we've been putting a lot of months of work into this course, and it's going to go live tomorrow, so we're pretty excited about it. So we basically partnered with a training company, and we're organizing all of it, and we're pretty proud of the course that we've developed. And so keep an eye out for like flyers, and we have a page dedicated for it. And if it's successful, I think it will be, but if it is, we'll probably do this like every quarter, just have a regular course for Sherman County women that we do every few months. And then lastly, our website for the Sherman County Libertarian Party is constantly being developed more and more, and we finally can accept donations. It's all integrated on our website now, and we also have an endorsement form on our website, so we now have a process to handle endorsement requests from county level and below folks that are running for office. And then if you guys have any questions, happy to answer any.
Go Sherman County. Any questions for Mr. West? All right. Thank you for everything that you do, and keep it up. Next is Peter Vandenberg.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. A lot of good stuff going on over there. So my question was for Marion in regards to our ability to maybe do those bylaws amendments via a electronic election. Is there an ability for us to set up a fail-safe? So like in the event that we do have quorum, we can deal with it there. And if we don't, we can deal with it the other way, just so we're not being preemptive, or do we have to decide, I guess, before the leadership election happens, which way we want to do it?
I could be wrong, Marion, but I think we can refer something to the membership at any time.
Yeah, you can. The only thing that that you would be missing is what I would consider a fairly important opportunity for people to engage in debate about those before referring them to a vote. But if you gave them properly noticed, opportunity to go to convention, if I were the board, maybe I would consider setting up a fail-safe meeting that happens at the convention if we don't make quorum.
It's also possible if it doesn't happen at the convention, within a couple of board meetings, we do have I don't know that it has to happen instantly, and it can still be much faster than waiting a year or two.
Right.
I do want to mention that it also definitely doesn't have to be this board. This current iteration of the board, we can let the next board pick up the reins and choose to make those referrals. The only consideration on that point would be that our power to make those referrals is based on a unanimous vote. And so if there was a proposal that we sure wanted to get in, but we thought that the incoming board might not, that would be certainly a circumstance that might call for that sort of a thing.
Although in that case, one of us might vote no, just so that we weren't trying to sneak it in.
Perhaps.
Sure. And I guess to close the loop on that, I think we all hope we'll have quorum at the convention, and that is our first choice for the bylaws proposals, but I didn't want to lock into that without having this option, I guess, down the road. I didn't want to go with the other option without giving the chance for the membership at convention to have their say. So thank you.
This option is a tool that can be used by the next board.
Great.
So it'll be available.
I've been under the impression it has been viewed as a measure of last resort for vital things that need to get through, as opposed to just something we would want to get done. Does that match your historical understanding, Timothy?
I would say that is the primary reason that it's there, is to give that emergency ability to, you know, if we don't make quorum for a decade, I don't know, if something crazy like that happened, then we would still be able to make critical bylaws updates. But I would say that if a bylaws amendment is so obviously useful that it is able to have a unanimous support from the board of directors, then I'm not particularly worried about that that ability being used for things that are not necessarily critical. Pablo, your hand is up.
Just a quick update about Multnomah. In addition to being a member of the board of directors, I am the chair of the Multnomah Libertarians PAC. And we met earlier this month, as Katie mentioned, and I just want to tell folks that one of the most extraordinary individuals in the Libertarian Party of Oregon that I've ever come across, or any party, anywhere, is Sonia Feintek, who can speak a lot about something that's really important to the Multnomah Libertarians, something that's really important to people who live in Portland is, you know, where are you sourcing your food? As we look at some of the things that are happening in our world today, like she was able to speak very deeply to our membership about food freedom, the knowledge of farming and knowing who's growing your food. And she's just one of the, you know, a really great speaker. If you need for your organizations, for our convention, for any point, I would love to get her in front of more members to talk about food freedom. So I really had a great event, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from her in the future. And I'm really glad she's a part of our party. She's a member of the Public Policy Board. She's very active in her Clackamas County chapter of Libertarians, and she crossed county lines to come and talk to us about food. I really appreciate that. Also, we are now fully back and set up. We had some HR problems. We had a treasurer transition off and not be cooperative, so that we had to work with Orstar and our banks. And now we're back fully capable and able to start fundraising again. And there are some projects that we're going to take on. One is specifically geared at helping bump up our membership in the county. We want to be a Libertarian Party of Multnomah County. The largest county in Oregon needs a Libertarian Party, and we're going to invest in mailing out 300 or 400 of our members to see if we can get them to attend to our monthly meetings that are the first Saturday every month at Primal Burger, a location that is owned by another Libertarian, and we want to get them there so we can have a flash convention, so we can get a party set up. In absence of that, we are going to maintain activism and education in our county because this county, more than any other county, needs a Libertarian voice.
Could you remind us of when Multnomah County Libertarians meets at Primal Burger?
Yeah, we meet at 2 o'clock every first Saturday of the month. So our next meeting is going to be on May the 6th. And we are meeting at 2 p.m. Primal Burger on Woodstock. You can go to multnomahlibertarians.splashthat if you're new and you want to give us your data, so you can get on our mailing list, and also RSVP for our monthly meeting. So I'm going to drop that in the chat.
Thank you. All right, the next hand raised is Katie.
I just wanted to ask you Clackamas County folks, if there's a way that I can connect with you when you meet in Clackamas County as libertarians sometime.
Sure. So we took a little bit of a break while we were organizing the fundraiser. We do still have, I think, 10 people interested. We have a Discord thread going, be communicating on. We're planning on a meeting again after the convention.
Okay.
So we can rally to have the necessary amount of people. But I can keep you in touch for that. We actually have an EIN already filed and a PAC application that's mostly complete. So
oh, great.
All right. Except for Katie's still raised hand.
I did. I just had one more thing. I forgot because I think we maybe talked about this in one of these meetings. I don't know. I don't know if it was policy board or affiliate or I don't know what it was, but we mentioned maybe not having a table for counties at the convention, but possibly having some way of connecting people to their county at convention, whether that is like find yourself on a map or just some way of kind of maybe unofficially gathering folks from the same county together during the convention. And any ideas or brainstorms on that would be helpful.
Okay. Most of the convention committee is on this meeting, so we will take a note of that and consider what can be done for the convention.
Yes, and right now our agenda does have a time for the report of the bylaws committee in the afternoon, and it is during the report of the bylaws committee that Taylor Rickey had a really good idea of maybe helping through our credentialing process. We're going to know what counties people are from, so we can correlate that with our sort of targets for people to be able to form an affiliate. So we could have an opportunity in the afternoon to do flash conventions if there is such a will of the body. We have I did not write these, but Marion Skinner did, and they're really great bylaws for Multnomah County Libertarians written for a Libertarian Party. They've been reviewed by other people who are far better at bylaws work than I am, such as Travis West, and say that they're pretty solid. We could make it sort of fill in the blank so that if we have people who are willing to take that step and form an affiliate, they could do a flash convention within our convention inception of conventions. And we do have time on our agenda to do so during the report of the bylaws, the report of the affiliate committee in the afternoon, which Katie, yeah, we should talk about.
All right, great stuff, everyone. Anything else for open forum before we close this out? All right, hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled by policy for May 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Are there any conflicts that we want to take account of?
I'm sorry, what was that date?
May 10th at 7. All right, and that will be, unless we schedule another meeting, that will be the last regular board meeting until the transitional board meeting at the convention. So if you have anything that you really wanted to get done in this term of the board of directors, that's going to be the time. So, all right, thank you, everyone. We are done.